Hi guys. I was experimenting with a new archer build. So this is the cold archer build that I came up with. Um, I tried to be as cheap as affordable as possible, and still, maintain a relatively good ability to push higher corruption. But I think that. No matter what you place as in the armor, particularly in the helmet doesn't really matter what other type of helmet you would use. If you think that you can get better one, it just I don't think so. I mean, you can get another helmet, but it will perform like overall the build will perform either less or as good as this one or worse, because the helmet is not like very crucial. I mean, the one that drops from the mountain, the lightless arbor boss. It's not better because it just gives you crit chance. But with this build, you already have 81 percent crit chance, and that's before stacks that come from uh, your passive tree, like uh, this one, right? This one gives you 15% crit chance per stack, and you can have 5 stacks. So that's a lot. I mean, you get at least 90% or almost close to 100% crit chance here. So it's it's not necessary to run the other one, and you lose actually quite good stats if you decide to. This one gives you quite nice stats, and you lose them if you run the mountain helmet or whatever it was. So it's not worth it in my opinion, and the build is very cheap. So for this one, I'm using the Reign of Winter. Now this might be one of the more expensive things. It's not the most expensive. The most expensive I think can be the boots or the gloves, but this can be the third most expensive. You need it with at least 2 LP, and this one, if you're in the Circle of Fortune, this one drops from the Hellrod, and it's not common. It's not common to drop with 2 LP. It's not even common to drop with 1 LP. It's quite rare to drop with 2 LP. I got it. This one I bought from the market. I bought two like relatively in the beginning of the season, because I bought almost all the gear, but certainly all the bows that I wanted to try different builds with in the beginning of the season, because it was relatively cheap back then. You could buy almost anything for nothing. Now it's impossible, but this one is still, I think, very cheap. We'll check it in the market just in a moment, but I'm telling you that if you're in the Circle of Fortune, this can be very time consuming to get it with 2 LP. And then, even if you get it with 2 LP, you absolutely have to slam the crit chance and increase bow attack speed, this affix, and the crit multiplier. And you need this affix as tier 7, the crit chance. Because, see, now I have bow crit strike chance 81%. Let's see what happens if I remove this bow. 27. So if you get the Reign of Fury without this affix, this is what you will get. Just 27% crit chance. That's very bad. So in order for this build to function, you absolutely need it with 2 LP with exactly these stats. I mean, you can go without the crit multiplier, but again, you lose a significant amount of damage. The crit multiplier again is the best damage multiplier in the game that you can get, and you can get it only here on the bow, on the quiver as implicit, which this doesn't give you, and on the relic. So these are the three points. Oh, and in the actually you can get it as a prefix, I think, on the amulet as well. But I'm running Omnis in all my builds because it's makes it much easier. So I'm losing on crit multiplier that comes from the amulet, but I can live with that. I find that around 300 to 350 crit multi is enough to push relatively high in corruption. So that's why these are, in my opinion, so the crit multiplier and the crit chance, the crit strike chance and the increased bow attack speed, these two affixes are absolutely a must. If you cannot get the crit multi, it might not be the end of the world, but you notice the decrease in damage. But still, the crit strike chance and the increased bow attack speed, this is absolute must. If you don't have it, just go another build. I mean, the Gathering Fury build, my previous build with the Lightning Archer would be better, and this would be even worse. This would be worse if you don't get the crit chance and the increased bow attack speed, for sure. So these two, in my opinion, absolutely a must. And again, in the Circle of Fortune, maybe with Prophecies you can get it, I'm not sure, but otherwise it drops from Herod, and it's very rare to drop with 2 LP. For me, it dropped just once while I was farming Herod with my previous Lightning Archer, and I think it was at corruption around 500. It drops it only once with 2 LP. So again, I'm warning you, it's not very common drop with 2 LP. This one is, you can get it anywhere. This is absolutely so easy to get, almost guaranteed 1 LP anytime. I can even show you, I have a bunch of this. So if we check, this one is with 2 LP, then 1, this is with 1 and with 2, then 2, this one is with 3, and this one is with 2, and they all dropped. So it's very easy to get this. And by the way, this one I got it with 3, because I had 3 out of 4 stats on the armor that I wanted, and I got 2, because this increased crit chance with flurry. We are not using flurry, so it's completely useless. We are not using this. It might not even exist as well. So this could easily be 2 LP if I got the explosive trap and the increased health in it. So the other thing is that if you are in the merchant guild, then you go here, then you type it with the 3 LP, and you can get it for just the favor. It's 0 gold, right? 3 LP. Now, why this particular armor and not any other armor? Just because, again, it's affordable, it's very cheap, it's very easy to get with 3 LP, and it gives you extra stats. The stats are not great, it's not bad, it's fine. The stats are nice. Something extra. The main reason for the 3 LP is that if you get an Exalted with 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 4 stats that are crucial for your build, and you really need these stats, it's very easy to slam them in the 3 LP armor. And so you get 3 or 4 if you have the 4 LP version, stats that are crucial to your build, so like 75% to 100% of the armor stats that you want, you get them, and on top of that you get these extra stats that are nice. It's not great, it's not bad, but it's just nice. So that's what makes this armor, in my opinion, very good. Now, you can say, but the core of the mountain is better. Sure. But first of all, uh, let's check the core of the mountain. Where is it? There. So if we type 3 legendary potential, there isn't a single armor with 3 OP, and there is only ones with 2 OP, and the cheapest one is 500 million. So at this level of corruption, I'm not saying that the mobs can one-shot you. Most of the mobs still cannot one-shot you. Some can, some very elite mobs can one-shot you, but the Orubis that you fight at the end of the echoes, right, to push corruption, they can certainly one-shot you. Just one mistake and you're dead at this level of corruption. And with the core of the mountain, you will still be dead. So just you can actually spend 500 million for this, and again this is with legendary potential 2, which means that you can slam only hope that you can slam the most 2 stats that you actually need for your build, and hope that it will proc. And you spend 500 million for one shot on this, and then you get one shot on top of that. You will get one shot from the Orubis. So you can spend 100 million to play the lottery in the Temporal Sanctum, right? And then at the end of this, you will still get one shot. Or the other thing is that you can buy this, the Kestrel, for 0 gold, slam 3 or 4 of the stats that you actually want, have some benefits from the armor as additional nice stats, and still get one shot. I don't want to comment on the reason for my choice. I'll just let you decide if you want to go with this or to go with the Kestrel. So for the quiver, I'm using Troacastate because this is a code build. Now it doesn't give the quiver doesn't give crit multi as implicit, which is kind of sad, but this one is 3 OP. It's very easy to get as 3 OP. Let me check in the market, but it also drops relatively often with 2 OP. Oops, these are not the... So, where are the quivers? Okay, here are the quivers. So if we check this one, yeah, you can get it for 0 gold as well. So it's a no-brainer, and all the stats are very good, and all the stats are very useful for our build. Now the freeze rate multiplier, it's nice. Sometimes it happens at higher level of corruption. Don't rely on that, though. The chance to freeze enemy, if you look at the formula, is something like 0.00 something %, right? Because the higher the corruption you go, the more health the mobs will have. The more health, maximum health the mobs have, the less the chance is for you to freeze them. Unfortunately, if they make it like current health, the formula to be based on the current health, that it would make it actually procable, right? You can freeze. You can actually notice that you freeze something, right? But unfortunately, the formula works with their maximum health. So no matter how much health you take out of them, right? How much damage you do to them, and you lower their health, the formula is based on their maximum health. And so it makes it virtually impossible for you to freeze them. But sometimes these 0.000 something % they proc. It's don't cite me, then don't rely on that really, but it's nice, especially when you're leveling. It's nice, and all the other stats are very useful, especially the bow code damage. I think the maximum is 16. Yes, so try to get the one that gives you the higher bow code damage, this plus bow code damage, and then the percentage increase code damage. These are the two most important stats that you're looking for. Try for these two to be the highest possible, and then you can slam three of the stats that you need. And I would recommend the increased crit strike chance, increased percentage increased cold damage, and the third one can be whatever you want. It can be either stun, chance to stun, chance to chill or slow, but ideally I would pick chance to stun or chance to apply frailty, or chance to blind on hit. I'm not sure if you can actually craft or roll chance to apply frailty on hit on quiver. If you can, this is also good, but otherwise chance to stun or chance to blind. If you can slam these three, like the crit chance, the percentage increase cold damage, and either chance to stun or chance to blind, this would be ideal. But crit strike chance is a must, and the cold damage, the increased cold damage, these two are a must. The third one can be really anything, but ideally it would be stun chance or chance to blind. For the helmet, I'm using Snow Blind. Now there are two versions of the Snow Blind. This and another one that's exactly like this, but it gives you 140 armor instead of 40 armor. And the version that gives you 140 armor is as useful as this one, which means that you still get one shot at this level from the Orubis. But it costs like hundreds of millions more. You know, I think in the market, maybe I checked it and there was only one. Let me see. Only one with 140. I mean. So yeah, it's again the same. So I think on the last page there was one with 140, if I'm not mistaken. No, maybe here. What? Okay, so yeah, there it is. There is only one with 140 armor for 500 million gold. So this 100, actually 90 armor, as you can see, the stats are the same, you know. It's just the armor. It gives you 90 more armor for 500 million gold. At this point, no, you still get one shot. And or you can just spend 25,000 and get this one, right? Which is the same stats with 40 armor. So 90 less armor, but again, you don't care about armor that much. I mean, sure, armor scales, like, but the thing is that you cannot stack a shit ton of armor and at the same time all the other defenses. In my opinion, the endurance you should have your endurance at 60% minimum. That's a must. And then try to stack endurance threshold. Endurance and endurance threshold are much more viable stats than the armor, in my opinion. Okay, I'm not an expert, about this game, but I've got my previous archer to just over 500 corruption. This one is over 600 corruption, and I really find that the mobs cannot still one shot me. Only the Orobis can one shot me. So, okay, and except for this Tundra cat, the big white tiger, this one can one shot you. This one can one shot you at 100 corruption. I don't know what's the problem with this mob. Maybe they designed it with some bad calculations. I have no idea. But this mob can one shot you even at 100 corruption. So that in the moment you go to empower, this mob can one shot you all the time in the entire game. At least as a marksman. So you should try to stay as far as possible from that mob while you're doing damage to them. But apart from that, no mob except maybe super elites can one shot me. And the Orobis. Again, if I push to higher corruption, they will be able to one shot me. But in that case, I mean, if you say, okay, I'm not gonna bother with endurance threshold and endurance, and I'll stack armor, I think that then more mobs will be able to one shot you than if you go for endurance and endurance threshold. That's my opinion. So that's why don't rely on armor that much. It's nice, but it should not be the priority in the marksman build, in my personal opinion. So you can get this very cheap with 3 LP, and you can actually slam the stats that you need. And the stats that you need are endurance, increased health, and it's not the increased mana, but for example endurance threshold or something else. I don't remember if you can row endurance threshold, but if you can row endurance threshold, it's better. Raw mana stats are also better than the percentage increased mana, because you don't have a shit ton of mana anyway. The percentage works only when you have a lot of something, and then the percentage increases it a lot more than the raw value. But in this case, the raw value, like let's say 40 plus 40 mana, would be much better. I would have much more mana if I had plus 40 mana than I have now with the 9% increased mana. So either go for raw mana or endurance threshold. Endurance threshold, if you can get endurance threshold, like endurance, increased health, and endurance threshold, this would be the best. The best in slot for this helmet and for this build. For the amulet, I'm using calmness again because it helps me to keep my resistances. As you can see, the necrotic and the lightning are 2% away from cap, but I don't mind this. It's fine. I can live with it, and it gives me good crit strike chance. So I really try to be at least 30%. This one is 29, but I couldn't find one that is with 30%, and have exactly the resistances that I need. So in this case, as you can see, it was necrotic and lightning, and it gives me plus 1 skill. This armor gives you plus 1 skill, and plus 2 to explosive trap. So with for the rings, I'm using the the rings with the implicit should be the increased crit strike chance. That's for sure. So on the amulet you need the one with the highest possible crit strike chance that actually can complement your resistances to be like almost kept, or ideally it should be kept at 75. Then for the rings you should get the ones with the increased crit strike chance, and try to get tier 6 or tier 7 increased cold damage, and then the other prefix should be the crit strike chance. So the two prefixes on the two rings should be crit strike chance and increased cold damage, and the increased cold damage should be either tier 6 or tier 7, and then resistances that you lack, or endurance to keep it at 60%, or if you already have it at 60%, endurance threshold. Other good stats that you can get if you already have your endurance and resistances is dodge rating. So for the gloves, again the main stat that you should aim for is the hybrid health, and then crit strike chance. I'm using gloves with endurance as implicit, but just I can get away with this because I have 69% and this gives me 9%. So if that's the case, then I would prefer gloves with crit strike chance as implicit and crit strike chance as prefix. But again, still the hybrid health should be tier 6 or 7, and then the rest can be something else defensive, like endurance threshold ideally, or resistances that you lack. For the boots, again, hybrid health should be tier 6 or 7, and the implicit can actually be resistances like fire or cold resistance that you lack, for example, or anything else really. And what you can get here should be again some resistances that you lack, or other defensive stats like dodge rating, endurance, crit strike avoidance. So you should aim for 100% crit strike avoidance. As you can see, I have 104% crit strike avoidance. Now for this particular build, okay, let's just finish with the other two parts. So for the belt, again I'm using hybrid health, but it's not like health and increased health. This is health and stun avoidance, and I have stun avoidance in the small idols, and all the rest of my idols are increased health and either cold damage or resistances. Yeah, this one is fire damage, but maybe I can find another one to replace it with. Yeah, maybe this one. So on the belt I'm also using endurance. If you don't have it yet, this can help you to cap your endurance at 60%. So more than 60% doesn't do anything for you. So 60% ideally, 60, 61, something like that. Aim for that number, right? The more you go above 60, the more useful you are wasting stats. So then I'm using increased cold damage and increased mana regeneration as prefixes, and that's it. Also, I'm always aiming when I do my build. I always aim for the poison and cold resistance on the belt, because this one piece is quite good because it gives you a lot of resistances, of two resistances, and it helps you to pick. It gives you more play with the omnis later and with the rest of the the builds, right? Especially the rings. So with the relic, try to get a relic. So this one is chance to shred armor or hit, which is useless because again with the passive we have, oops, we have this. Yeah, dead from afar, which can have I think 5 stacks. No, 10 stacks. Okay, so this gives you already 200% chance to shred armor on hit, and you will be shredding armor all the time. So if you fight the mobs and you can see the debuffs on below their health bar, you'll see that they have shredded armor all the time. So you know, chance to shred armor is useless on build. Try to avoid chance to shred armor really, because you have it as built in, let's say. But this is what I got. So ideally you will have as implicit crit strike chance here instead of chance to shred armor, and then the crit strike multiplier should be tier 6 or 7, and then crit chance in either resistances that you lack or endurance threshold. If you already have your resistances covered, endurance threshold here is better. I think that covers the build. So for the I will have a link in the description for the you know the skill trees. So for this the detonating arrow we convert to code, and because we are using code build, so but we take these nodes here up to this point, because yeah, again, I mean, this node makes all the marksman detonating arrow builds weaker than the you know the dagger detonating arrow build, the marksman dagger type, because of this node, right? Because it almost eliminates your explosion. But anyway, if you don't pick this node, you can't play explosive trap detonating arrow marksman at all. It doesn't matter if it's cold, lightning, you cannot play it if you don't pick this. This is absolutely crucial, because otherwise you will just shoot the detonating traps, they will explode once and they will just evaporate your mana to 0. So you have to pick this one, then you pick all these nodes, and this one for the critical multiplier, which gives you, this is quite significant damage that gives you. Here for the explosive trap, okay, I have skills unallocated because I removed the omnis and then I placed it, and it gives me all to one skill, so it just removed the skill and now it gave it back, but that's fine. So for the explosive trap is basically the same as in the lightning archer build, maybe with the exception that we take this node here because we have one extra point that comes from this armor. I didn't use this armor in my previous build because I had other setup. So oops, sorry. So some people might ask, why not picking this, the impact trigger node, right? Because this would make, instead of the traps just sitting and waiting for the mobs to pass near them or through them to explode, you can just explode them immediately, right? I thought so as well when I first started, before I showed you the my lightning archer build. I also thought so, and I picked this. And you know what happens when you pick this? You lose like more than 70% of your damage. Because what it does is that indeed the traps explode when they hit the ground, they explode immediately. But what this does is that they don't shoot detonating arrows and they don't spread another traps via these nodes. So all of these nodes become useless. They are not being used at all. So they are not triggered at all. And you don't shoot detonating arrows. If you take this, you're losing at least 70, but probably more than 70% of your damage just by picking this node. I know this node, like in terms of gameplay, it makes it so much smoother and better, but it ruins everything. It ruins everything, and it just demolishes completely your damage. You will never be able to, if you pick this. I don't think that you can even push beyond 200 corruption. That's how bad it is. But in terms of gameplay, like if you play on like lower level, not empowered monoliths. At empowered, it's already you can feel how bad it is in the empowered in terms of damage. But if you play on the normal monoliths, right, the non-empowered, this feels so much smoother. Really, it's so good. But if this node could still trigger this node and shoot the detonating arrow, it could be so much better. Really, it could be so much better, but it is what it is. So don't pick this. Don't pick this. You will screw up your entire build. You won't be able even to progress. I don't know if you can push above 100 and something, but certainly 200 would be the top in my opinion. You won't be able to kill the Orbis at 200 corruption if you pick this. It's that bad. And again, for the other skills are again the Dark Quiver. As you saw from the intro, I use Dark Quiver when I fight bosses, Orbis, and in arena when the waves become higher. So the mobs are doing like 400 or 500 additional damage and they have health. You don't want to be one shot, you want to kill them as fast as possible. This helps a lot. And again, the Dark Quiver gives you very very good amount of dodge chance. So your dodge chance becomes something like 50 to 70%, something like that. You dodge most of the time actually. This is very helpful in my opinion. It's better than smoke bomb in my personal opinion. So and these are the nodes that I pick. This is the crucial node. It gives you the shroud. The shroud is what gives you dodge chance. So for then I'm using shift and decoy just as panic buttons. And that's it. So I will have the link in the description. Okay, so one last thing about the bow. Ones with the 2 LP, the cheapest ones are around 400,000. Okay, there is now 3 LP versions. They are absolutely non-affordable, and it's not necessary. Again, I mean, it can share. What makes the 3 LP better? The only thing really that makes it better is the slight let's say 25% increased chance, because that's what it is, to slam these two affixes. Yeah, that's it. Because really, if you don't have any extra affix, if you have just these two already slammed in a 2 LP, that's enough. You don't need chance to shred armor. You already have this. Chance to stun. You already have chance to stun. Let me see where it was. Yeah, Also here, increase stun chance. So you have 200% chance to stun, 200% chance to shred armor. Enemies will be shocked almost all the time from the explosive trap, because the explosive trap is converted to lightning and cold. So they will be immobilized most of the time. You don't need stun chance, you don't need shred chance. Yeah, chance to blind on hit would be nice, but that's really the only useful thing that you can get. The only thing, and you can get away with this. So in my opinion, it's not worth spending 1 billion gold just to get the chance to blind on hit. The chance to blind on hit would be something like 50% maximum, I think, on the bow, or maybe even less. And if you're lucky, right? And it would be the one of the 4 stats on a 3 LP item. You might get it, you might not get it. It's not worth it. I mean, for 1 billion, you can buy tens probably of the 2 LP version and try to slam the crit multi and the crit chance, you know, and eventually you will succeed, and you would have spent less money if you want to buy the 3 OP. It just, I don't know how the economy works, but the people that are selling this, they don't think. I mean, I'll place a 3 OP version bow for 1 billion. Like, who the hell would buy it? I mean, you have to be a moron to buy this, really. Because think about it. You can, for 1 billion again, the 2 LP version of these bows are like 400,000. Let's say it's 1 million. You can buy tens of the 2 LP version. Eventually you will get exactly the 2 stats that you need. And again, on the 3 LP, you will get just a third kinda useless stat. It just doesn't make sense. But I guess that's how the market operates. Anyway, I think that's all from me. That's basically all about this build. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.